Hi guys and welcome back to the channel. In this video I'm going to show you how you use Snowflake, SnowPipe and Amazon S3 to be able to ingest data into Snowflake and make it available to users at a low latency. I'm also going to show you how you can automate the ingestion process with minimal administrational overhead, and I'm also going to show you how you can work with semi-structured data such as JSON and XML and load it into a variant column within Snowflake. Don't forget, if you find these videos useful, please hit the bell icon to be notified of new content which comes every week and click subscribe. So in this video, I'm going to show you a demo of what the diagram shows you on the right hand side of this slide. This diagram is taken from the official Snowflake documentation and it shows three specific steps. In step one, JSON data is landed into an external stage, in this case, AWS S3. There's a SQS event notification, which is triggered by certain activities on the S3 bucket. Finally, a SnowPipe reads from the queue and loads the data into a variant column in the target table within Snowflake. I've already set up a couple of things in my environment to make this demo a bit more seamless for you, and that includes a few things. The first thing is I've got a free tier account on Amazon itself. I've also already configured a S3 bucket, which I will show you as we go through the demo. I've also got a IAM role and user for Snowflake, and I've also granted that specific access and permissions to S3. And I've also set up a cloud storage integration object within Snowflake. And here's the page that I mentioned on the official Snowflake website. This one specifically is around Amazon S3. But you can also see on the left-hand side here, we also have instructions for Google Cloud Storage and Microsoft Azure Blob Storage as well. I'll include the link in the video below, but this also includes the first 5 steps, which I just mentioned as the prerequisites to carrying out this demo. So be sure to check this out if you also need to carry out the same activities first. Okay, so before we get into the demo, there's 4 key steps involved in what we're going to go through. The first one is we're going to create an external stage, which uses the storage integration object to be able to connect securely to our AWS environment. Next, we create a SnowPipe with auto ingest enabled. That creates a SQS queue in the background on Amazon, which collects the events from S3, which is step number 3. And in step number 4, we're going to land some JSON files into S3. They're going to get picked up by the SQS queue and moved into a variant column within a Snowflake table. Step 1 is creating an external stage. So we've created a storage integration object, which I'll show you in a second in the web UI, which means we can attach this to an AWS IAM user and encapsulate the credentials needed to access our AWS resources in one place without the need to share these more widely. Then an external stage can be created by the developers, which reference the storage integration object as the diagram below shows. So in Snowflake, we have our external stage object that points to a storage integration object, which maps across directly into AWS as an IAM user, and that then can access our files in the S3 bucket. Let's head over to Snowflake in the UI now so we can take a look at some of these objects I've just mentioned. So here we can see that we create the storage integration object, and note that I've removed the Amazon resource name specifically from this query, just for the purposes of showing you this demo. You will fill that out with your own unique resource name when you follow the instructions on the documentation. But we can see here we're creating a storage integration object. We're calling it S3_int. The type is an external stage. We specify it's an S3 storage provider. We enable it and we point it to the name of our S3 bucket, which in this case is Snowflake-AM. Once we've created the storage integration, we can then run this statement here, describe storage integration. And if we just go down to the result set here, you can see we have this AWS external ID, which is here, and a IAM user resource name as well. And we use these 2 particular values in our AWS console. So in the identity and access management area, this is the role I've created for Snowflake within my account. If I head into my Snowflake role and click Trust Relationships, I can then edit the trust relationship and I will then enter those values within the policy within that. And what that means is it allows our storage integration object that we've just set up to securely access our AWS resources via that mechanism. Okay, so next we're going to create a database. In this case, it's called SnowPipe. Then we're going to create a stage. And you can see the stage references the storage integration and also includes the URL to our S3 bucket as well. So let's create that. And then we can go show stages, and it shows that we've got our Snow stage staging area set up in our SnowPipe database name. And we can see the S3 bucket URLs pointing to. Okay, next step number 2, we're going to create a pipe now, and essentially a pipe is a copy into statement which is wrapped up in a create pipe command. The important thing here is we're going to have the auto ingest parameter value set to true, which means in the background it creates an SQS queue within AWS for us, so we don't need to worry about going into the console and pre-configuring that. We'll then use the show pipes command in Snowflake to get the Amazon resource name or on for this, and then we use it when configuring events for our S3 bucket, which I will show you in a moment. So back into Snowflake UI, and I'm going to create or replace a table called Snow Table to store our JSON data. It's got one column of variant of a variant data type, which is JSON text, the column name for that. That's going to store our raw JSON data that we're going to push into our S3 bucket. Next, we're going to create a pipe. Notice that we've got auto ingest equal to true on. That means it's going to create that queue in the background for us. We can see it's going to copy into the Snow table that we created earlier on in the previous step here. And from the stage, and we're telling it that the file format type is JSON. So let's just run those. That's the table created. And that's the pipe created. And if we run the show pipes command in this notification channel, this is the specific Amazon resource name of the SQS queue, which we need to copy for the next step. Okay, so I've copied our on value and I'm now switched to the AWS console in S3. This is my bucket, Snowflake-AM. If I go into the properties tab and scroll down to event notifications, this is where I'm going to create a new event notification. I'm going to call it SnowPipe-event. And I'm going to tell it I want a notification anytime an object is created within my S3 bucket. You can see there's various other options, but at this stage, I'm only worried about stuff that is new in our S3 bucket. Then we choose a destination for our events to go to. There's a few different options here. We're going to choose SQS queue. You'll notice that I can choose from existing SQS queues and none currently exist within the console. That's because Snowflake has created it in the background for us. We need to choose enter the SQS queue on, and we paste the value that we just got, and we click save. That then has successfully created the event notification for us. So that means now we've got our S3 bucket, which has got an event notification attached to it that will push it into the destination of our SQS queue. So everything is now configured between Snowflake and AWS. We can check on our status of our SnowPipe at the moment by running this system pipe status function and passing in the pipe name. So let's run that. We can see that our pipe is running and it's ready to go. We also get the information in here, such as the last received timestamp. We'll check our target table. We can see it's empty with our one column JSON text in there. And so the next and the final step is to go to our S3 bucket and to upload a file here and check that it all works. So I've got two sample JSON files here. I'm going to upload the first of the two. You can see that file, 935 bytes, is uploaded and succeeded. Now what's happening in the background is I've put that file into S3. That's triggered the event notification. That's placed a message onto the SQS queue. SnowPipe has got the auto ingest equal to true. So it's polling for any messages on that pipe. It'll gather those messages and then push it to our target table. We can also run this particular query here, this table function in the information schema, copy history. We can pass in the table name, and this particular query here looks at anything that's happened within the last hour. So I can run that, and you can see there's our sample JSON. There's the file size. We can see it's loaded the records. If we run a query against our target table, we can see we've got some sample JSON in here, some user information, email address, first name, last name, so on. And we didn't need to do anything to that JSON data. We loaded it in natively straight into the variant column within Snowflake. So we didn't need to shred that out into relational columns, as you may have had to do in the past with other systems. You can then apply a schema on read and split out or flatten those columns as you need them in your SQL queries. Now we're going to go back to our S3 bucket one more time. And we're going to upload another JSON file, sample JSON file. Again, the structure is just different, but that doesn't matter because everything's loaded into a variant column. So again, we upload it. This file's a little bit smaller, 255 bytes. The upload succeeded. And we can see now we've got two records in there, sample1.json. We go back and query our Snow table. You can see we've got the users on the first record, and we've got this ebooks JSON message on the second one. So that's how everything fits together. I'd love to know how you bring data into Snowflake in near real time. There's a number of different ways you can do it, and this is just one of those. Let me know in the comments below if you found it useful. Again, don't forget to like and subscribe to these videos if you find them useful, and I'll see you next time.